So, hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 111, and in this video we want to continue with our exercise, which is to hack an account with a brute force. We already created a login account. Let's go to our main. And here in main we have created a login which asks for username and password, and we created also a password generator, which is a very simple one. We are just using the capital letters and we increase all time the size. And when I start here this program, you can see it asks me to enter something. When I enter something wrong, it asks me again and again and again till I answer something right. So for example, now I give the right info in coder and let's say A, and then it jumps to this password generator. And that's a problem because we have not combined them. So what I mean with combined is, of course, we want to use the password generator and not show it here on screen. And we want to use the password generator to hack this login, and especially not this login, we want to hack actually this password. So let's get started. And a reminder again, you see we have here a lot of functions. We jump back and forth, and that's very important that you do exercises, try your own ideas, and make mistakes, no problem, as long as you solve them. It's absolute okay to make many mistakes, and I made also millions of mistakes here, and this code what I show you is probably also not the best one. So make mistakes, just solve them, understand them, and learn them. And this kind of stuff you can't learn by watching keywords in C++. You have to program and use how and understand how to, not understand, better see how to use these functions and when to call, where to call, and why to call. And let's continue. You will see what I mean in this in a moment. So now I have a problem. We continue now. Now I have a problem here that this one is generating, but this account I want to crack. So we have to think a little bit. I have already think offline a little bit, and that's why it seems like I make this very fast, but in real this takes more time because it's not so straightforward now, and we have, yes, to think a little bit more in detail. So don't think that I made this instantly. This presentation is very instantly, but it takes more time than I show it here. So what I want is, first of all, I have here this login account, right? This is fine when I start this. Actually, this is also not so fine, but we come to this a little bit later. I start this and it's asking a username and a password. This is my start point, more or less. So I want to get rid of one of this because I want to make this example here a little bit more simplified. Of course, we can create here a username generator as well. It's the same as like the password generator. It's just called username generator, and then we have to run it here and here. But I'm not going to do this in this example. I say we know the username. And how we know this username, it's called something like social engineering. You know, social engineering is a hack tactic, which means they are going in contact with the person, and the person is talking and accidentally he mentioned his, I don't know, account name, for example, and then he knows, this person has account name coder, and we pretend in this example we know this through social engineering. And now how I can use this information now, I know his account name. So, and let's say I'm the hacker because I want to hack this account. What I do now is I go to the source code and say, okay, I go in login. This is the account, and the username is asked here, right? And then I say, the username is asked here and it's saved here in this variable. So with other words, I just change this variable here to coder after it is asked. And that's very important, after it is asked. So first it will be asked and later I change it. And okay, then let's do this. I copy this one here and assign here as my hacker, I know this is coder. I want this coder account. What I do here is now, doesn't matter what the input is, it will be set to coder all time. So the account, the username will be coder all time. That's very good. So when I start here, I show you this fast. I can type here anything, and then I must only find the right password and I'm in. For example, the coder has now a password. If I press A and you see I'm in. This is also wrong, but I'm in the program. All right, the next step is, let's go here again to the password. And I said, okay, I have now found the username because I made social engineering, but nobody will tell you the password. Even if you try social engineering, what I mean with that is you try to talk again to this coder, but he will not tell you the password because nobody is telling password to anyone. Everybody knows a password you should keep on yourself. So which means, okay, we will have to use a program, and this program is called a brute force, which means we have to use our password generator, which we have here. And the question is now how we use it, because right now we use it wrong, because let me show you what we do. We do here, we can type in anything. And now the password generator should be already started, should be generated anything, and then I pass this one in. But right now, oops, sorry. But right now, I'm typing in anyhow this password, and then when I have the right password, it jumps in and then it generates all this password. So let's change this anyhow, right? So how we make this, first of all, I say there are millions of solutions. I find anything which I have found offline, so it's not so easy, but it's not so difficult. It's difficult for beginners, definitely. And let's continue. Let's think about it. Okay. Here, this password will be entered here. So I know I have to find where this password is saved, and it is saved in this variable. Okay, let's copy this variable. This is all time a good place to copy. And then I say I will assign to this variable my password. But the problem is right now my password generator is not set up. My password, this generator here should create a password and then it should put it in. We can comment here something like find way to connect, or I think you get the idea. You can here write something like generate this password generator here should generate an password and then connect it here. Okay, right now I am still overwriting this password because he is entering anything and I'm overwriting it with nothing here. This is nothing. So which means this will cause all time an error, which means doesn't matter if I give even the right password here right now. For example, I have here coder, which will be automatically set behind the scene to coder, and doesn't matter if I write now the right password. This is the right password. It's still wrong or not wrong. Let's see, why is this so? And let's see what happens here. Should be wrong normally. User password input. And there was something wrong. And then if this user password info is all right, whatever. Okay. How is this right? Because we have here a user check password and this one made it right and that's not possible. Let's check this why this is possible, because this one can't be possible here. So far. We go here, just log in. And let's see what we have here as a return value from check password result. Because we set this up in the last video, I think, let's see why this is wrong fast. All right, I write anything here. I write A here. Jumps not even here. And was it there now? And then it's strange. comes here, and this check password, the result is false. Yes, and if this is false, it jumps here because it goes out, and then it jumps here to this place. And this while loop, let's check this while loop. Here, the check name result must be false. And okay, then we go in, and here is something true, because this one is the, oh right, okay, this check here is not right. Okay, the reason why this is not working, because I have this check wrong, because one is false and one is true, because check password, the check name was true now here. Okay, this check here makes no sense here at this point. Have to change this to let's say I get rid of the name, because I changed the name here. It will be all time true, so I have to just check this this password. So I can change this by just deleting this one, and this. So what I did here is just I changed a little bit the input here, and I said, okay, I check only if this is true, then go in. Let's test it. And we see something like, I press this one in, this time it's wrong. Okay, I have to deactivate the debug here. Okay, this one is gone. Let's go here. This one is coder, this one is anything, and it's asking. Okay, coder and A, and it's still asking. Now it's right, because this password, it's the right one, it's still asking. And that's the point. Okay, we have solved this also with a little bit debug, and you see I use this debug when I don't understand anything, and use it too. As a beginner, this debug will show you every step, and then you see what you made, where you made a mistake, or what this is. Okay, let's continue. All right, we have this point where we need still this password, right? And yeah, now we have to think a little bit how we do this. And first of all, before I think, I have another problem. The other problem is I don't want here a login. What I mean with that is I don't want that the login is popping up and asking input, because right now I want test it. For example, if we would make this on another PC, that's not a problem. We can send all these usernames and passwords. But in this code example, because we are more learning coding, not really hacking, in this code example, I don't want this login to be appeared. It should be automatically filled in. And how we can make this? So we change this code again, this login again. I change it, and very easy. Here, the whole block here on top is asking for account name, username, and password. And I say, okay, don't ask me. I say just Control C and comment. I comment this out. Now this block is never asking me again, which means this one will jump directly when the login is called here at top, directly to username, which will assign coder, and then password will assign still nothing. This is a problem because we need this generator here, but that's cool. We are a little bit closer to our result. Now it shows nothing, which we expect. All right. Oops, sorry. So, and now we continue. We have this one. We have still the problem with our password generator, because the password is generated, but I need this password here. And which means I need all possibilities which this password generates here. And this is again not very easy actually. I made it offline, that's why it looks like that I made it very easy. It's not so easy. And think about this, but you learn much about this when you solve it. And there are millions of ways of course to do this. And I found probably the worst one, like all time. And let's go and do it. So, so what I thought was, what was that? What I thought, already forgot it. Very nice. No. Let's continue. So here, this generated password must come before this login. And why? Because I need to create first a password. which I can use here in login exactly at this place, because this one I want write a password in, right? This is the place where I want input my password. So this generated password must come before this one here. And that means it must come before the call of this thing here, this account here. So, which means a very easy solution. I take this one, here I call it, and I change now the position. I say, okay, generate it, please, before you call this account login. Generate all the passwords which I need. And okay, this is definitely not the solution, but let's see what happens, what we do. Okay, it starts and now it generates the code. Okay, it generates all the possibilities and you see it's growing. And that's still a problem. It's generated the password, but now I have to find a way that this generated passwords from here must be inputted here without my doing. And yes, this is also not so easy, but let's see. Which means I have to go in this generated password extended and check out if I can change it, because we are training a little bit here all the functions which we need, and I go in this one. Here is the definition, and this definition is just calling here. Okay, now we have to analyze a little bit, because I used here a function, again another function, which is this one. So you see here, we have to keep track when you make so many functions like me. And then you have to question, is this a really good way? Perhaps you can skip this one here while you can put this code here directly here and then don't think so much. This is also something you have to learn by doing. Sometimes you need a function, sometimes you don't need a function. This is probably a candidate where we probably should not call this generative function here, because we call this nested functions here, which is hard to track. If you are good in tracking, which means you can follow the steps in your brain and you still know what is calling what and when is calling when and why is calling what and so on, that's good. But I have already problems here. But yeah, just think about it. If you have to make a function, if it's it makes sense to make a function. There are many places it makes sense, but this place is probably not this place, because this one is calling here this one, and this one will call later this recursive function, which will be also very interesting to understand. But that was just a side hint. Let's continue. Important is now how to solve our problem. So our problem was, I talk so much that I almost forget my problem. The problem is I generate here the passwords, and I need now find a way to get in this login. So I need to find a way that this generated passwords, which I have here, where first of all I find the place where these passwords are generated, and then I go here in, and then I see this one is calling this one, and then I see I have to go in this one, and then I see here in this definition I have to go here, and this one is just the length. We already talked about this one. And then I see, okay, this block here is actually generating my password. So which means here it's looping all the alphabets through, and here exactly this line here is generating my password, at least one, and then it will check recursively. It calls itself again with this length, because if we have, for example, first of all, a longer password than one length, then it will call it again, and then it will check this one. We have talked about this one already, so let's concentrate here a little bit more about this line here where it creates. So this line is actually what I need. Why I need this one is the question, because I said I need exactly this one. I want here input and password, and this one is exactly creating this one. So now I have to think and find a way to connect this here, this line here, with this line here. And you'll see that's not so easy on ad hoc. You have to think how you can make this. And that's another place where I mention, you see, that's very important, why you have to code your own ideas. You think and train, because this kind of stuff we can't show you on YouTube, and can't even you understand functions and so on. This kind of stuff you have to learn by coding. And this is exactly a nice example, I think, where you say, okay, I have here this password generation in this function here. Now how the hell I get this one here in this function here at this place? This is so our job right now. So to find our way. All right, let's go on. That was again to talk much. So how I can make this, and here I say, okay, there are different ways. Probably I found again offline our way after thinking, and I said, okay, why not we create a new variable which will be a global variable, because this one, you can see this one is a local variable. We learned about local variables, which means exists only in this scope. I can't use this variable here, which is here generated and then recursively called here again. I can't use this, but I can create a global variable which I can use later here at this point. And a global variable means I create it here on top and can access it in this account. So this is at least an approach, but let's see if this works. And yeah, let's create a global variable. And I call this global variable. Let's go first to the global place. Here are my global variables, which means all function can access them anyhow without asking, something like that. Okay, let's call this std. It must be a string because we want to create this password here. And let's call this, what we call this, let me see. It is the string and it is the generated password. And let's call this anything which makes sense, because when we read it, we should understand it. Generated password of input password. I don't know. User password inward generated. I don't know what I call this string. Password for login. Let's call something like that. Password. Generated password for login. So it makes it gives me a little bit hint to where this password should be used. When I read it a little bit, it's not perfect, and I initialize it with nothing. So what I do now is generated password for login. We copy this one, we go down. I say, okay, this one is now, I assign this one here to this one here. Copy, and I assign this. I paste it. And now what I did here is actually, I made this local variable here global, accessible. Why? Because I saved it now in this variable. Now, that's nice. Why is this nice? Now, with this one, I can go to my account again, this login account, and here I have in this account, I have every function has access to this global variables, right? And I say, okay, give me this global variables here. It will be generated. All right, that sounds not bad. At least the approach sounds okay, which is it generates here, it saves here, and I will have a problem, but let's see what this problem is later. So let's see what happens. So I start, let's test if something happens, and we see, oh, there is another problem. This global variable is okay, but we see this this generated password extended, it starts and generates passwords. And I must find now a next step. I must find a way to use this generated password and check if this is right. And if it's not right, then you can generate a next password and next password and next password. All right, so yes, we have to think a little bit again. And yeah, let's see how we do this. And I think before we continue, I stop here. I talked here already much, and I will continue this in the next video directly from where I stopped. But you see this, we jump here from one function to other function and see how we can use the variables here. That's very important to see, because the variables are sometimes important, like this one, and I want to access it, but I can't get it here, access it, because it's just local. Then I make it global, and then I can access it. And then I have to think how the orders of functions are. And you see, that's, I mean, all time, it's very important that you train. And if you are good with targeting, I call it all time targeting functions and variables and how they called, when they called, and why they called, then you can code much better than me, because this code, what I show you right here, it's a little bit hard to follow, which means it's not so good coded. But I hope it was still good practice. So I hope you made a better code than me, because my code is not so good, but it will work. I guarantee you it will work in the end. So with that said, if you have any questions or any complaints like all time, write it in comment. I will continue in the next video exactly at this point, and see you. Bye.